Conservation Commission meeting. Do we have the parties here for the Memorial Arch?
Yes.
Yes, okay. How about for Robbins Ave?
Yes.
Okay. And we have the ones for 78 Crabtree Lane?
Yes.
Okay.
I just keep on hollering.
There you go.
1212 Bedford Street's
Nice
not
to stay
here.
busy.
Right. 1212 Bedford Street? We
No.
have the abutters though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the other one?
Shane Crop
Sean Crawley, Shane Crawley for 7599 Ashland Street.
is here.
And also, how about Patrice Boudreau?
Yes.
Single family, yes? Okay. I think we got everybody here. All right, let's start off with, actually, let's open up, can we open up the hearing for 84-472, abbreviated notice of intent filed by the town of Abington for the restoration and preservation of the concrete memorial arch and attached bronze statuary at 200 Park Ave, Island Grove. No excavation and no new construction involved. We have a motion to reopen that hearing?
I make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Doug Ulwick, Ulwick Affiliates Architects, and I'm working with the town to help coordinate this project on their behalf. I'm here this evening with Justine Orlando from Chapman Waterproofing. I'd like to first update you on what's happened since we last met, and maybe a brief recap, and then tell you where we'd like to go from there. When we last met, I had come in prior to bidding the project, looking to see if we could get an order of conditions that would dictate how the contractors would have to do their work. And there was reluctance to do that because we hadn't well defined the process that would happen. We had too many, shall we say, openings and possibilities. And I sensed the board was looking for a more finite approach to the project. So, and also there was a desire to speak to who actually would be doing the work so that more specific questions could be asked and answered. So we left everything open and went out to bid and advised all the bidders that they would have to come in front of the commission and explain themselves and work out things in terms of the more specifics. We actually went out to bid twice. The first bidding came in with one number that was very low, that by bidding laws we actually were supposed to take, and then other bidders that were above our budget. Not surprisingly, the low bidder came back to us in a few days and said, we made a mathematical error, we're off by $100,000. And asked if they could withdraw their bid. We allowed them to do that. At the same time, we were somewhat buoyed by the fact that if we added $100,000 to their bid, it still would put us in their budget. So we decided to rebid the job. We did rebid the job, and second time around, it's always interesting when you do that because people have put their cards on the table, so to speak. But when we did rebid the job, we did come in with a number. Again, we had a low bidder who tried to limit the scope of work, which wasn't acceptable. So the second, we had to throw out their bid, and the second bid that was left, the next bid that was left was Chapman, which we were very happy with because they're very well experienced. So I'm here tonight, as I said, with Justine. We had a pre-construction meeting last Wednesday with the town manager and the assistant town manager. I know Nancy sat in for part of that as well, to kind of talk through the project as to how we'd approach it. And that's what brings us here tonight. I have, actually, and we're not looking tonight, as it turns out, for an order of conditions. We have kind of a four-part presentation. I'd like Justine to tell you a bit about their experience with similar projects. I was very happy to see one of the first ones on there was the Plymouth Rock Portico. I mean, that's famous and well known to us and right on the water, and they've worked with it. So they certainly have all the conditions that we're going to be faced with and then some. After talking about experience a little bit, the approach that we'd like to use is rather than come in and just do the job, they're interested in doing test panels, and she'll tell you more about that. And the test panels would take relatively small areas and try different processes on it, and then find out which one works, and then come back to you people and say, here, this is what we have found works, this is what we want to do, let's talk about how it's controlled, how we meet environmental concerns, and keep everyone happy. I think Justine will also be able to tell you about the different processes. I'm not sure how much detail you want to get into, because again, we're only doing a small patch to know what we're going to come back to you with. And then finally, I think it would be helpful that we've talked about and talked with the town manager if perhaps the commission wanted to designate one person to actually be there as the testing was going on and see it and be able to report back. If you'd be willing to do that, that's something we would very much enjoy as well. So with that outline in mind, I'll turn it over to Justine.
Okay. Well, I guess that kind of sums up quite a bit.
I have a tendency to do that, so.
No, that's fine. So I guess for similar projects, as Doug mentioned, we had done the Plymouth Rock project. That had a very similar scope as to what we'll be doing at the Arch, particularly with the restoration cleaner that we used on that particular project. It was also right next to the water. So that's going to be the Persoco light-duty restoration cleaner. What we were able to do was to apply the cleaner and power wash the monument. We were able to test the rinse water for the pH levels. When we were that close to the water, we found that the pHs were within the acceptable limits, and it wasn't found to be an issue for that particular area. Also, we've done a number of bridge projects with different contractors where we've been over bodies of water. All of these projects, we were using a methyl methacrylate product, which cannot go into the water. All of those areas had to be enclosed as we were applying the product, which is also a spray application. So all of the area was enclosed. When the jersey barriers had to be pressure washed after the fact, the water was, the rinse water was then contained and brought off site for proper disposal. So that's just kind of a background of, I guess, some other projects that we've done that are similar. When we go out to do our investigation, we'd like to do 4 or 6 test panels of different applications, each panel being about 3 feet by 3 feet. That would include mechanically scraping with small hand tools on the cementitious coatings. We have 2 different paint strippers that we'd like to try, both of which are applied to the cementitious coatings and to the paint coatings with a paper backing, allowed to cure, and then removed. So there's really no pressure wash involved with that particular step. That's something that we do a couple of times to try to get as much of the material off. We will have areas that we'd like to use a high pressure wash with just water. We'd also like to do a high pressure wash with the restoration cleaner. The Persoco products have a full line of environmentally friendly products. Usually they say that the dilution ends up being about 200 to 1 once the pressure wash has been completed, and they are confident that their pH levels can fall between the project specifications of 6 and 8. So from what I understand, usually for federal recommendations, they shoot for 5 to 10. So we're trying to narrow that down a bit more. But during these test panels, we'd also like to test that rinse water and see what we are working with and where we're going to be starting with that. So I guess for today, we'd like to ask permission to be on site within probably about 30 days as the weather improves, because most of these products have temperature restrictions, and perform the mock-up so that way we can come back to you folks with a formal narrative and request. As Doug mentioned, we would see it as a huge benefit to have someone from your committee on site with us as we did these test panels. That way, we don't miss anything when we submit a written narrative into you folks as to what we'd like to do. So, we can have a little bit more hands-on, eyes-on to see exactly what we're doing.
So the test panel, is that just to see if in fact the treatment you're testing is actually gonna do the proper job in
Absolutely.
terms of cleaning the surface?
The best job with the least disruption and
Yeah.
interruption. And where there are so many different methods to try, rather, have the actual opportunity in the field to do it over a small area before we come back and say, this is the one. And it might still be two, we don't know, but we'll know after we do the test panels.
Okay.
So again, a much more limited scope right now, just so
Yeah.
we can come back to you folks with a broader scope.
So
Yep.
for the test panels, are you going to bring in equipment, and what kind?
We will have a pressure washer. That's really the only equipment.
So there's ladder, there's no trucks or man lifts or anything going to be used to do the work at this point?
No lifts at this point. Actually, I don't anticipate using any aerial lifts on the project, just sticking with pipe scaffolding. But the mechanic on site will have his truck or a company vehicle on site.
So that the scaffolding for the test, will there be scaffolding for the test panels?
No, what we were anticipating was to do the test panels at the ground level, where actually the cementitious coatings are actually really at the heaviest.
The worst conditions are lowest. And if we can deal with the worst conditions, which shouldn't involve ladders and scaffolding, then whatever works down there is going to work higher.
Okay. What was I going to ask you? So as far as the materials, I think I've heard your discussion about the pH. I don't believe that the materials that you had so far had been tested for lead paint or mercury or any other metals. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. I didn't see anything in the
And
reports.
you are likely to have used, is lead paint something that you're worried about, or is it lead, or what is it for a contaminant that you might be concerned with what they used?
I think most of the paint that was on there was spray paint, which I would be surprised if there were lead paint in that, just judging by the generation of spray paint. But that I might anticipate, but any lead-based product, we're not anticipating.
But are there metals actually in anything that's there that you're going to take off, like the concrete? Does it have metals in it?
Not that we're aware
No.
of. Nothing.
Nobody's
nothing.
tested it either.
It's a
No.
lime-based product. In fact, you can chip it off I chipped some off the other day with my knife. I mean, it's not on there well, even. I don't think they're going to have a hard time, frankly, removing that.
You don't want to remove too much of it, probably.
Yeah.
So as far as capturing during the test panels, I think that some of what you described is pretty simple, and it's probably not going to, I'm not as concerned about, but if you start doing the pressure washing, I'm a little worried about it spraying onto the ground or into the water. Are you going to have some kind of collection, or how are you going to handle that?
We could put a bladder underneath the area that we're testing, so that will catch the water as it comes down, and then we can use that also to test for the pH as well.
I think this will be the time where we'll understand what the resultant pH is of any spray, of what comes down and what comes off, and we'll understand as a result of this if there's any danger based upon the pH level.
And for us, it's from this board, we're really worried about protecting the environment.
Mhm.
So we're worried about the pond itself and the environs right around it.
Mhm.
But if there's fish in there, the water does eventually travel into our secondary
yeah.
water supplies and stuff. So that for us, that's what our goal is, to just keep the
Sure.
the shore safe. I had two more comments, then I'll let other people ask. I think that I would suggest that somebody's going to need to determine where the wetland line is, so we need to know with the lake, the pond, where the high water mark is, and if there's any wetlands there. And at that point, we should put, I think we're going to need to put silt fence, hay bales in there, and I don't think I've seen that anywhere. And the second part is that I'm not having a problem with the test panels. I just think that we would need something in writing that we actually get a chance to approve, because we don't do things verbally here. We usually have to have some kind of documentation, so that we would probably need it written up, would be my opinion. Just,
One thing, Justine.
and I'm done.
As
You
far
can
as
let the rest of them talk.
as far as, it doesn't have to be hay bales, it can be sock or something like that. Something on a containment, like a hay bale.
Sure.
So if you prefer a sock system, that's, it might be neater and cleaner.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's up to you.
yeah. We're just looking for, what I would like to see is just something to make sure we delineate where the wetland is, so it's really clear to whoever's working there. And it also will probably help with some of that deposition as well, if anything.
We really have a bulkhead at the foot of the bridge along this section. I know at least one side, I'm not
But
sure the
from
other.
the high water mark down, it's considered,
But I mean, that's.
It's considered
It doesn't
low.
go over that wall, so I mean, that is the water mark.
you just need to tell us where you think it is, and we have to decide if you
Okay.
agree, okay?
It's,
I think, I haven't been out there in a while, so
Okay.
I haven't looked at it. I used to go there a lot.
Plus, I
Come on
think
back.
On one side of the bridge anyway, the bulkhead's not continuous. There's a
Okay.
piece that's actually broken away too, so
Right.
that was another one of the concerns that we had. And then, basically, whatever you guys are doing with the test panel stuff, we want to have pretty much the same or the same protection as we would if we were going to, write orders of conditions also too. So we just don't want to make the mistake of going lightly just for the test panels and having something happen, so.
I agree, but I think we need to see it in writing so that
Yes.
we have
Because
documents.
we won't have written any of orders conditions for this so far, so
No.
this is just anyone else?
I also did hear that there was a request for a listing of the materials that were gonna be
Yes.
used.
Yes.
Okay, I actually have a copy of products and MSDS. I don't know if I can just hand these over to you folks,
Sure.
if that's all right?
Yep.
So these are gonna be, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is actually just one copy of each product.
Why don't you give them to Nancy and she
She'll
can.
distribute.
You can probably
Okay.
scan them, Nancy. That would probably be easiest and send them to us. That way we won't have too much
Yeah.
paper.
So eventually when we go to do the project, some or all of those, might be used. That's why we're starting with such a large pile at
Okay.
the moment.
Okay.
So I guess at this point then, we need to give you an update with what we would be doing to protect the site during the panels.
Correct.
And a written narrative of what you just told us, we would like in writing.
Okay, I pretty much have that together, so I can just add in a couple notes about putting a bladder below the test area, setting up the water line marking, the high water marking, and that the location of where that will sit will be up for approval. Is that, okay. Is that something that would be submitted at a meeting, or could we do that
I was just gonna
electronically?
ask, if they submit that just to Nancy, can we just okay it at the next meeting, or do they have to be here?
I think we could just okay it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I think
As long as
so.
we have something in writing that we can look at as a board and say, yeah,
Right.
this
So
is
if we
great,
get it
this is
soon
great.
enough, if anybody has any questions for the contractor, we can let you know if you need to
Yeah.
come or not.
right, your next meeting is the 27th, right?
Right.
Correct.
Okay, so we can't do anything before the 27th.
That's correct.
Correct.
A narrative, a definition of the resource area, and we've given a list of chemicals and such, so is it just those two things?
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah, I think for the test panels, I think that
Okay.
will be enough.
Yep, and then just access to the area. I know you guys will,
We'd already
you'll have a
defined
truck
that.
there, but,
We'd already defined that.
Yeah, if
previously.
it would be great if you could park the truck
Away from.
away from everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think I
think the town, the highway department will probably tell you, because they're in charge of the park now, they'll tell you where you can go and so forth.
Okay, sure.
We're actually meeting on site tomorrow morning to
Okay.
begin to look at things, and I've invited the highway superintendent to join us.
Yeah, so for the actual
Yeah.
work, when you're working at the actual time, just a couple of comments I had, which is, you probably want to figure out where your laydown area is going to be if you want to
Mhm.
have a laydown area. And truly think about what you're going to do with the HAZ materials that, the materials you're bringing on site, because the park is not supervised at night. And
Mhm.
I think it's subject to vandalism, and I would prefer that the chemicals either leave the site every night or that they're locked down pretty tight.
That's actually one of our company policies, is to have those to have those locked up or removed from the job site each day. So I anticipate having a small storage box on site so that it can be locked overnight. So we're also going to have the work area enclosed in construction fencing as well, which will also be locked. So that should hopefully keep folks from finding their way into them.
And just a heads up, because we discussed it the other day, and we're on cable, so I can address a wider audience here. The arch will be closed for a period of up to 2 months, and unfortunately it's happening during season. So people can still fish from the bridge, but they're going to have to park on the Lake Street side to do it. People can still swim in the pool, but they're going to have to park on the Park Ave side to do it, because there will be no passage under the arch for that time. It can't be made secure. So I just want to get the word out there. It might even be brought up at town meeting, because we're just trying to let everyone know so no one's showing up and griping. Well, they'll show up and gripe anyway, but but at least we have a chance to inform them. So that's good. What else haven't we done?
Did you have an opinion at all about possibly having an on-site representative to review the test panels?
Do we have a volunteer? Does anybody want to go?
I mean, we could have someone with us as soon as
Russ-
tomorrow, so.
Russ said yes,
Okay.
but we're not going to do the test panels until for a while.
Right,
so.
but I mean,
Right.
we're meeting out there at 9 tomorrow. If you'd like to join us, then you're welcome to. Just an initial walkthrough, talk-through. Okay. Excellent. So we'll plan on coming back with those 2 things that we need, and the narrative and the definition
Okay,
of
do we need
the
to
resource
continue
area.
the hearing also too?
Yes, with your permission, we're going to continue the hearing to the next meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll make a motion to continue it to May 27th, Nancy?
Correct.
Is that the right date?
I'm back for 2 things that
Second.
night.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll be back that night anyway, by the way. I'm here for something else then.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay, next we have continue the hearing for notice of intent SE 084-481, David Federico, 739 Greenville Ave, Needham. This is for the single-family home being built within a 100-foot buffer in bordering vegetated woodlands on Robbins Ave.
Good evening. My name's John Cotter. I'm here with Russell Wheatley and with David Federico sitting right behind me. He's the owner of the property on Robbins Avenue. We are still currently in the process of taking care of comments from the commission members from a couple of weeks ago. What we're doing is we revisited the site and looked at the location of where the detention basin is right now, where it's within the confines of the Robbins Avenue right-of-way, and saw that there one of the neighbors to the left, I don't have his name in front of me, but the long and short of it is the detention basin would not enable him to access his property from Robbins Avenue. So what we've done, and what we're in the process of doing now, is moving the detention basin onto Mr. Federico's property, onto his property, creating an easement, and then we're going to pipe it over into the drain easement that's on the other side of Robbins Avenue. So we don't have that completely done yet, and in doing that and in moving it, some of the drainage areas have changed. So I have to revisit the drainage calculations and make sure that they're all correct for the 2, the 10, and the 100-year storm. So that, in essence, is what I'm here to do. I've drafted a letter asking for a continuation to the next meeting, and that would be.
Will that be enough time for you?
2 weeks would be enough time. I'm in pretty good shape with it right now. I just wasn't able to completely finish everything, and I wanted to have everything finished so we could put everything, lay everything out and make sure everything was okay. But yeah, 2 weeks will be fine.
Okay, actually, probably, CJ, we didn't close the last hearing, did we?
We continued it.
We continued it, okay. So I didn't open up this hearing, did I?
No, you didn't.
Okay. Do I have a motion on the floor to open up the hearing for Robbins Avenue?
So moved, or whatever you do, open.
Here we go.
Second.
Second?
We got plenty of seconds, Nancy, pick one.
All's in favor?
Aye.
So now we're looking for a continuation of the hearing until May 27th.
May 27th, okay.
Yep.
Yep, I'll make a motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
And at that time, we'll have everything, we'll have everything for you, so we can
Great.
go through, we can go through all that and
Thank you.
hopefully put it to finalize. Thank you
Excellent.
very much.
Are you for the next one, Crabtree Lane?
Oh, you
Yes.
get the paperwork.
Just stay right
Stay.
here.
Well, I'm gonna stand up for this
There you
one.
go.
All right.
So I'd like to open up the hearing actually, it's opening, we're continuing the hearing for the notice of intent for Ingrid Johnson, 49 Susan Road, Brockton, for the construction of a single-family house within a border of vegetated wetlands at 78 Crabtree Lane. Do I have a motion to open up the hearing?
Make a motion, we open the hearing?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, well,
Do you want the camera on him?
Yeah, that would be good, so people could see the picture.
Actually, I have a couple of plans here, but I have a couple of small revisions.
Of course, is colored in Yeah, because otherwise we'll take it home.
You guys will have to share. I don't think I have to introduce myself, but I am John Cottesdale. And I am here with Russell. Mr. John Norton is here, he's the owner of the property, and Ingrid Johnson, she's the applicant. We were here previously at a meeting, and we had showed you what we were planning on doing is creating an area for a single-family house, doing some filling of the wetlands on the westerly side of the house and replicating it at the easterly property line towards the rear. There were a couple of abutters that were here at the time, and they had asked us to come out to revisit the site, and because they were worried about the possibility of getting some flooding onto their lot. So we went out, we revisited the site, and we spoke with Gabe, it's the name stuff, with Gabriel. We spoke with him, and he had expressed his concern. So what we had told him we would do is to ensure that he would be protected, rather than create just a swale. I've highlighted here the swale along here. We created a small berm on his side of the swale, and then extend and continue the swale all the way into the where the replication area was going. That was twofold. That helped twofold. Number one,
Yours isn't
with
colored.
the berm along that side of the property, it prevents it prevents any of the overflow, overland flow from running off the driveway and off the side of the house to get into his backyard. And number two, in extending the swale, we're going to help feed this replication area that we're creating. So that was we thought that would be a positive in both instances. We were given a file number by DEP. They did have some comments that they wanted us to review as far as would we fall under any having to apply for water quality. So I went through them. And all of our activities, number one was about the activities that we had. Did they conform to the Wetlands Protection Act? Everything that we're doing conforms to the Wetlands Protection Act. They wanted to make sure that we couldn't lose more than 5,000 square feet of bordering vegetated wetlands. Well, what we're doing here is we are filling an area here of bordering vegetated wetlands, 1,100 square feet, and replicating 2,265. So we actually have a net gain of 1,165 square feet of bordering vegetated wetlands. The ratio of one, they said, excuse me, the ratio of 1 to 1 for the filling and replicating, well, we're over 2 to 1. So we complied with that requirement. The other was as far as an outstanding resource area. We don't have an outstanding resource area here as far as are we going into a for fresh water or anything like that. We are simply putting overland flow into a bordering vegetated wetlands. And then finally they wanted us to check on the endangered species habitat, and we're not within the confines of an endangered species area. So that being said, I think that we've covered pretty much everything as far as the file number for DEP. Then if you'd like to go through the replication plan.
Could you give us a snapshot of the replication plan since we just got it?
Pardon me?
A snapshot, yeah, that'd be great. The replication plan.
Oh,
Can you
sure.
tell us what you're doing?
Sure. You mean when it's finalized?
No, I meant, could you tell us what you're doing within the replication?
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely. What's gonna happen within the replication area, I did a sketch, the final, the last.
It's my daughter.
Okay. What we're doing on the back page of your replication, it's kind of easy just to look at as far as the plan was concerned, we are going to be excavating this area, the replication area, down about a foot, maybe as much as, maybe about 1.5 feet, or any of the mature trees that we're going to leave in there, we're just going to excavate around them and leave any of the mature trees in their present state. We are going to be using a cluster of different types of vegetation: red maple, highbush blueberry, swamp azaleas, and northern arrowwood. They're all going to be smattered throughout the area, and we give it's a kind of a schematic sketch to show you about where they're going to go. Then within the gaps, we'll be putting in a wetland seed mix that is on 2.3. Which is basically a New England seed. It's a New England seed mix or a fall mix. I believe it was. New England wetland seed mix, which has the following, and it has a slew of different plant species for the ground cover and on the layer. So what we've done is we've taken care of the ground layer. We've taken care of the herbaceous layer and also the forest, the cap area. The report on it would be they would be out there when it was being done. Brookman Road did the planting plan, and she would be available to oversee anything of the plantings or any of the other things that had to take place on it. She will make sure that you get 75% of cover on the during the 2-year period that we're going to be overseeing the replication area to ensure that it does grow back in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's about it, but if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to.
Does the board have any more questions? Any questions?
No, no, you want to open it to the public?
Yes, actually, do we have any abutters here? Anybody to speak? No? I'll bring it back. Do we have a motion on the floor to accept the plans revised May 8th, 2014?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the new plans dated today's date.
One second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Do we want to do the orders of conditions?
Sure.
Okay. Or do you want to wait until the end of the meeting, just so that we can move it along?
We can do that.
Yeah, I would suggest maybe we
Okay.
wait till the end,
Okay.
just because we got a lot of people waiting, so.
We can definitely do that.
Oh, that would be great. And we were only concerned about that because when we were at the zoning meeting, just a point of info, when we were at the zoning meeting, we were asked, on this particular job, we were asked to have the order of conditions at their next hearing. They wouldn't give us a special permit for the overlay district unless the order of conditions was in place.
Oh, that's new.
That's new, yeah.
That's
it was
new.
a,
Well, hey, we may actually work
Kind
together.
of a little bit of a curveball.
Yeah.
But then, so that being said, I mean, I'm sure we'll be all set anyway.
Yeah, well, I just figured we'd wait till the end of the
No,
night,
that's fine,
because
that's fine.
we have a
That's
longer
great.
agenda than normal.
You're here for a while anyway, is that it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm here for the duration. Thank you. Thank you.
Holding this, or?
I don't know.
I'm just gonna remember to do it. Sorry,
Yeah, okay.
I figured we'd move people out of here.
All right, next is the meeting to reinforce the orders on 12 Bedford Street. Is Mr. DeAndre?
I saw him, it was outside.
He poked his head out.
And it wasn't just Mr. DeAndrea, didn't we invite?
We were looking for the owner of 1200. He said he couldn't. Come on right up.
Sure, I love paperwork, I know that, I love it.
He said that,
What was the time, everybody, a minute? Just don't- we don't have to repeat it.
thank you. All right, so this is for the reinforcement order for 12 Bedford Street. Did you find anything else out from the state as far as?
Nope, I talked to Matt McPhail, and so have you, Jerry.
Yeah.
Okay. He has not gotten any cease and desist from you people, and he hasn't gotten, he has a letter, but he didn't have to, he said he wasn't coming because he wasn't
Okay.
asked to come here. So, is that what he said, Jeff?
Yep.
Yep, okay.
I told him, I did, I said, you don't have to come till you're asked to come.
Oh, well, I thought you, last time we were here, I
I
thought you
think we
were.
were-
No,
you
what
had asked him
about,
to
yeah,
come.
but
We did.
the thing was, on the other situation, he didn't have all the info.
Well, he was getting it, he was
Yeah,
supposed
he
to
was,
have it, and then.
he had
bring
hoped to
a
have
meeting.
it, and that was the important stuff that
Right.
we wanted.
Right.
And if he didn't have it, then. it
I
would-
know.
it-
He's waiting on the state with their engineering,
Yeah,
so I don't
exactly.
know, so I can't.
So I said, if you don't have it, there's
no
nothing
idea.
you can do when you get here.
I'm cleared with the state, so.
Well, I think the problem I had with the enforcement order is it actually should apply to both. Did we?
Oh, that I'm doing
We
it.
did.
We haven't, he hasn't received his enforcement.
Order, well, I
The
would,
1200.
I would make a motion that we send 1200 Bedford Street the enforcement order as well.
Okay.
And if Nancy, if you could do that, early later this week, that'd be great. It's the same enforcement order, we'll just need to,
Okay.
do we need to sign something? Do we need one for 1200? I make that motion, does anybody want to second that for 1200? An enforcement, the same enforcement order. We issued an enforcement order for 1212.
Yeah. Yeah,
But we
you
did
want-
not
yeah.
issue one for 1200, but I think it applies to 1200 as well. So I think we should issue him an enforcement order so that he has something formal to know that he has something in his hands. Because I think it applies to both properties.
Oh, yeah, it does. All right,
I made a motion. Does-
Second.
Good.
All's in
Wait a minute, I
favor?
have a quick,
Go ahead.
1200 is owned by who?
Matt McPhail.
Matt
Yeah,
McPhail.
Sister.
And the system.
So what happened was is that,
Has he applied for it?
no. He didn't apply for a notice of intent or anything. There was
Just
just still
saying.
was brought out to his property and filled in.
And we're gonna do an enforcement order to do what?
An enforcement order asking him to stop the filling and
Right.
come in, and I think, did we ask for a notice? Don't think we asked for a notice of intent yet
No.
on either of them,
We haven't.
He did.
which I think that's a question that, you know, I think we were trying to get some solution to this problem before we,
At the last meeting, weren't we requesting both people to be here at the last meeting?
yes, we were,
Correct.
and
That I
Dennis had
remember.
trouble talking to
He
him.
couldn't I guess
But
he
I
stopped by a
believe-
couple of times. and
Yeah,
hasn't-
Jerry did talk to him, but
And
Dennis
he
tried.
he has to have the stuff from the state that
Right, which
we're
is the
talking
holdup.
about. It's important
Right.
for us to have that information in front of us.
Right.
Well, he's only got
He
one
don't-
letter.
Yeah, exactly.
He hasn't got the.
And I said to him, if you don't have that information, there's no sense of you going to the meeting, because we need that.
Yeah.
What the letter and what they, you know, everybody's in violation of,
Right, there's 12 people.
yeah, on that street. So
On 18.
So.
we need that information in front of us.
Okay.
But I think what we need to do is make sure that Mr. McPhail is.
Not gonna do
understood-
anything.
Notified that he has that I think he needs, well, we just voted for the enforcement order. The question I have to everybody at the board is for both properties, should we add that we are requesting a notice of intent at this point? Or should we, do you want to hold off on that or not? Because that's really the action that we're headed for.
Well,
What we need is, is it McPhail?
Mr. McPhail.
He has to come in front of us with the certificate from the state, or the letter from the state, that is
Yes.
saying, so that we can decide, and then he's gonna have to request a notice of intent, because whether he can use the pond or drain the pond, that's what it's all about right now, the drainage.
Right,
So-
there is some fill that was put in towards the back of his property also too, which was.
back
Recently?
where-
Near the
Back where, no.
No, it
border
was-
of
but,
vegetated
yeah.
wetlands.
It's been there, it's the whole issue that we have. I mean, his property abuts the neighbor with the flooding issues as well.
Right.
So both properties are involved,
Mhm.
and I think we need both property owners here, but I also
Yeah,
think.
so I go along with you, but just to notify him that as soon as he has whatever he's requesting from the state as far as the drainage, to come in front of us, but to cease all other.
Right, but meanwhile, these poor people are sitting there with the flooding problem in their backyard. And so we are not, my problem with it is that we,
Nothing's moving.
what?
Nothing's moving on.
It's the state, it's not
Yeah.
It's not us. It's not us.
Oh,
It isn't
I-
anything else. So.
What is the state doing?
This-
I'd like to
I don't
know. I mean,
Give
I'd
him a
like
call,
Mr.
ask him. I don't know. I
I'd like
really don't
Mr.
know.
McPhail to come to the next meeting, as my other question, my other comment, and if we could just send him a letter. I think that would be the right thing to do, because I think we need to talk to him. I'd like to understand what it is the state's doing that we're waiting for.
Yeah.
Right.
And
They're gonna be
who's he
going by
working
with the
with?
drainage because there's a pipe that goes under 18.
That's 2 years from now, though.
Right, that's some
Okay,
road.
well then, that's probably why there's nothing probably gonna happen for 2 years.
Well, we need to do something for the neighbors before
Well,
that.
they can't, no. Last time I was here, I think it was you, Jerry, that says you didn't have no information from any engineered reports or such.
No, we only think, yeah, no, we had no information. I
No
looked it up,
information, okay.
because you showed me, and I said, we didn't have it. And like I think that if it was on record, we would have it, but we had other things, but we didn't have that.
Well,
I mean, if it was made, it should have been more than one copy and then given to Nancy in 1999, but there
Well-
wasn't. So I
Well, okay.
I only go by
Tonight-
what
tonight-
Nancy
tonight-
gave me that
tonight-
day.
Okay, well, just to clear up anything here, right,
Yeah.
whatever. I brought a lot of copies in for some stuff that was done, engineered reports, 2 different engineer reports. You've actually been on the board before, you know about this, okay?
Frankly,
Okay,
I don't
you
remember.
signed on it.
What's
If-
it-
Actually,
Okay.
if you have copies
Yeah.
of everything that you want
Well, I
to send to
do,
us.
but I
What did I
want, okay,
sign
but
on?
I get, you're on the
Excuse me.
conservation board.
I was on the
You-
conservation board
some
back
time
then.
ago when
I did
Mr.
not
Carista owned that property?
No, I was not there when Mr.
You
Cruiser.
weren't?
No, I don't
Okay,
believe
all
so.
right. Yes, you were, okay.
Anyway,
I have
it's
you
long-
signed on as a, as part
I
of
was a
that.
member in 1999, so if Mr. Carista
Not
owned it back then.
1990.
1990, I was not on the board.
Okay, well,
Oh, wait a second, I was. I
Yes,
just
you were.
got not. I was
Yeah.
an associate then, wasn't I?
Yep.
Oh, well, anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway,
What I would suggest you do, so that we
Mhm.
all have a copy of it, is if you want to provide us a copy, that's fine.
Well, I wanna
And if you
provide
could
you-
tell, if you could tell us when, what notice of intent it goes with, that would be helpful.
Okay. What I do is, I put this stuff together for you. One is well, you have to sign it, I think, is Dennis in here. But it's all the information that reconnaissance report dated 1990 consisting of 17 pages. Jerry, your brother John was
Yeah.
on the board.
Jackie.
Okay, yeah, Jackie. And they cleared the property at the time, okay? Any wetlands, okay?
What's he giving us?
Well, this is just,
Yeah,
no,
give it
I
to
haven't
the
given you
chair.
anything yet. This is the list of the stuff that I am gonna give you, okay? And a copy. And all, this is stuff that Nancy should have. I don't know if you want to look at this stuff. This is the isolated wetlands that everybody was working from.
This was isolated.
Mayor?
And this is all old, yeah, sure, absolutely. It's gonna be your copy. I just want you to sign saying you got it, so you can't say later on you didn't get it. There was a wetlands determination right here, signed. That's Alex Berzanson and all these people. Okay?
I'm not there.
No, not in this one, you're not. Okay, but in the one in 90 you are. That's that. Dennis had asked me, Nancy, for a receipt for the stumps that were being dumped, okay? There's a bill here from J.F. Price. Also, he wanted a request for the geological environmental, for the dirt that was brought in.
Yes.
That. This is a cease and desist by Alex Berzanson, and if you turn it over, it's been rescinded.
Correct.
That was from Alex.
Yeah, it's always been rescinded because they read the reports. So, just like it, just signs and receipts, so they, you want to see this one? It's the new one. This is a far more better details and explanation and determination.
So,
So I've been here 7 times on this.
so we're supposed to, you want somebody to sign
I just like
it?
this,
He
yeah,
wants to know.
all who are here to sign it, saying they received it.
Do you want us to sign this? Saying
Yeah,
that we
saying you
received this stuff?
received these documents,
So we need.
so that you don't, they don't get misplaced from the file. I'll have that in my file to say, look, you did get this stuff.
I'm not sure if we've ever done anything like this before.
Well, I
Because
just
it's
need to get
actually,
receipted, yeah.
it should be your responsibility to make sure that the commission of the board has all of these in their
They
possession.
were already given all this stuff. Nancy's been here for
Exactly.
24 years.
But this goes back to 1990 and some of the
Right.
other ones, which a lot of us weren't here.
Well, you weren't, but
Correct.
that's why I'm giving, but now you have them in your possession.
Correct, and
And
we
I know
can
it's old
document
news.
that
I
we
know it's old
received
news.
them
Right.
in our possession, and I don't know. if we
What I would suggest that,
Well, you're saying-
what I would suggest we do, just as a matter of course, just to say we received those, we could probably put the list in our meeting notes, but we should go, and then that one might be the better way, long-term, to document that we got them, and then there's no
Because
question.
they seem to be disappearing for whatever reason, after I turn them in or they're turned over.
All I have to say is I think Nancy's the most excellent secretary we've ever had.
I'm not
so
complaining, I don't know who's taking them, who's taking the documents.
I don't really, I can't really,
Well,
I can't even
either, but
comment on that.
I'm not on the board, I don't,
We're not
Okay.
addressing the problem.
what?
We're not
Correct.
addressing the
This
problem.
No.
is just documents, so.
Wait, what? We're not addressing the problem.
Let's get back to the,
But if, but I would suggest that you check the list, that you have everything on the list before we say we got it all.
yeah.
You give it to me.
Yeah. Then give it to Nancy, because no one else gets it but Nancy. Okay, so,
okay, do we have, I'll run this through, but do we have any more discussion on this, or actually, we have a motion on the floor we didn't actually vote on it.
did we, I think we did, didn't we?
No, we didn't.
No. Okay, I made a motion to issue an enforcement order, and I think we had a second for 1200 Bedford Street.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
To
And
Mr. McVale.
to Mr. McPhail.
Okay.
So all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Now, do we want to
I would like to make a motion to bring ask Mr. McPhail to come to the next meeting, so he can explain to us what we're waiting for from DOT. And what his, he also needs to contribute to the solution to the issue that exists on his property as well.
Mhm.
Anybody second that?
Second it?
All those in favor?
Aye.
So,
So now I want you to go
Just
through that
check-
list.
check all
before-
those.
Can you go through the list before
so
he
the
leaves?
27th, will you be available to come back?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. We'd like you to.
It's a lot of fun.
Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
Well, the problem is the abutters are here, and I think it's all still the pond, or the hole,
It's all the same. I mean, it's dried up right now because there's no rain,
right?
you know?
Mm-hmm.
We do have pictures and drawings of 1,200 that we got from the town. And we also have pictures from the Mass Oliver designation for wetlands, WS1. And all this property is right on it, including the drainage basin, catch basin. The catch basin is, according to these pictures, and even the pictures that we got from you guys last time, part of the WS1 drainage. And the pictures show from 2005 to 2012 to 2014, the drainage basin is now less than half the size it used to be.
You're right.
It needs to
You're
have
correct.
an order of conditions to fill in that drainage basin, and an order of conditions to fill in a Jersey barrier wall and 5 feet. What Mr. DeAndre is talking about is an engineered plan that he has for 1,200, not 81A and 81B property that he bought afterwards, since then. He had, as far as we could tell, no order of conditions for any of that.
This is confusing, there's so many pieces of property here.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty
It's all part
straightforward.
of
We have a plan right here that shows our lot, the 1,200 lot, and the two separate lots, 81A and 81B, bought
What?
separately by Mr. DeAndre.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to give us, if you want to. Yeah, you can approach the benches.
Anybody else wanna-
Where's the one?
Anybody else?
I think mine's good, because you got it from a conservation commission person, so you know that all that stuff's checked off.
What
a
is
date on it,
81A and 81B?
You gotta be 13.
Lot, it's
I know,
the
but
two
you gotta
lots
say-
that Mr. DeAndre bought behind our house from Mr. McVale.
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
And
which is part of now 1212
which is part of
Thank
now
you.
1212 Bedford Street.
Okay, so we're still talking 1212.
1212, yes, I know I
Okay.
said it wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, so 81A is
But
stable.
this drawing here is the catch basin. This one here. And this drawing here is my land and Mr. DeAndre. This is 1212, this is my property. It shows flagged environmental vegetation right here.
May I ask where you got those plans from?
I got them from
Nancy?
here.
From
town.
conservation, or?
Yeah, she has these in her files.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that.
Where's
it was
the
in
catch
record.
basins?
That's not on this drawing, it's on this one. Shows it here. And then the next page, here on 1200. So the catch basin, this is the boulder, this is the catch basin on 1200 Bedford Street,
Okay, yep.
all right? And these pictures here show
Where's the
that,
catch basin?
Wait a minute, one more
Where's
time.
the catch basin?
Where's the catch basin?
right, this is the boulder.
Oh, so
This
it's
is
the
catch-
pond.
This little pond, it's the catch basin. Yes, they call it a catch basin on this drawing. Right here, catch basin.
Yep, okay, all right, gotcha.
Okay.
There's something in there that the pond,
This-
Doesn't meet,
This
it's not a wetland.
paper
It's
that
not-
I got here the last time, this is the catch basin. This is WS1. This is my house. This is beside my house and behind my house. This picture was taken before Mr. DeAndre bought 81A and 81B from Matt McVale. Notice how it's all trees still? Well, now it's not. This is all a parking lot that now looks like this. this is what the catch basin looks like now. It's half the size of that, right there. This is the Jersey barrier wall now, and this is all he filled in, about 5 feet beyond, higher, at least 5 feet, higher than the grade level it was before.
Okay, now there's a conflict, because in that right there, it says something about the pond. What I
It's
just
not in a
read.
100-foot buffer zone.
The pond is right here.
Not protected. It's not
Square footage is under 10,000
square foot, right.
square feet, required the area as a pond.
This picture here also shows the WS1 designation, and this is on my property, 1212 and 1200 Bedford Street. That is dated 2011, 2012, wetland change. This is from the state of Massachusetts, DEP.
Mike, I think we have to read whatever that is in context with whatever it was submitted with, and
This was submitted, I think, what is
Yep.
it, Calgavi?
Yep, no, yeah, Calgary and Environmental Research.
Right.
And then this is where the Conservation Board had signed on, and then they signed off saying that there was absolutely no 100-foot buffer zone from any of the property areas. 'Cause
Right.
This is not in isolated wetlands, it's not,
That's the-
it's not.
When was
That's
this
the
done?
1999.
Okay, Mr. DeAndre owned 1200 Bedford Street.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I know,
No.
that was Johnson, wasn't that
No,
Johnson?
1200 was Johnson.
No, 1212, I mean.
Okay.
1212 is what this is about, 1212, not 1200.
That's right.
This is
But
about
there's no-
1212, and
But if
this
you
is,
go
but
to the
he
property
bought
line-
this other property afterwards, 81A and
falls-
81B.
It falls within 100 feet of the existing property. There's,
This is right
there's a-
on
You understand what I'm saying?
wetlands. This
Here
is the
with that.
drainage area where the water is
That
Because
tells
he's
you
showing
supposed
us
to go.
pictures where it's in the W1.
These-
it doesn't meet the criteria. That's what that engineered report is about.
See this?
Says-
Joe,
says in there.
Kathy?
yeah, I understand
Yeah.
it. I know, I understand exactly.
Yeah.
Because
According to the state of Massachusetts, it does right
It was-
here.
Based on the vegetation that they took from the aerials, and they mark larger areas that they believe are wetlands based on what they can read from the
Then you
aerials.
have, then you have an engineer study there.
Saying that it's
says
From,
it's not.
from,
does
yeah, but it
not
is
meet-
also, but this was also done for work that was gonna be done on 1200. I mean,
No.
sorry, 1212.
1,200 Bedford Street, which was done in 2000,
This is for 1212, isn't it?
yes.
This is 1212.
But it doesn't
There's nothing to
include
do.
the extra land he bought, 81A and 81B.
Correct.
Yes, it does. It does.
well, no, but-
It connects to it, and it's within 100 feet of, I'm
But
30
th-
feet,
but
I'm
this
30
filing
feet off.
itself, but,
Would have had to have
but my
order
point-
conditions.
my point
no,
is
I
that this
don't.
was done in 12,
It
this was
doesn't-
done a
it's
while
not a
ago.
wetland.
Right, no, I
And it was,
understand
it
that.
applied to 1212, and the mappings that we have from DEP disagree with it.
Right. Well,
And I think that,
Actually, let's bring it back. I think we need to further investigate what we have here, so we can kind of, because we're just going back and forth.
The other board
Exactly.
This one
cleared
said
it.
this one said that.
Well,
You know what I mean? This report we have here, then we have other stuff that we have
Alex,
coming in. We have
Alex in the group before cleared the property
Correct.
many times, okay, as not being a wetland area. It doesn't meet the criteria.
does not meet these state criteria, however, we do have local wetlands we do have a
Correct.
local bylaw that addresses stormwater flow and drainage, so.
Yep.
And that's the point that the neighbors want to address, is
Yeah.
Correct.
the water, the flow,
Correct.
which, and.
The water runs downhill, and their house is on a hill, and
Right.
90% of that water is
But
theirs.
it ran into that pond, catch basin, whatever we're calling it right now,
Puddle,
and you stopped
as
that
Dennis
flow.
says.
It's been redirected into their
No,
yard as a result.
It just
it's
needs.
not big enough. It's not in
Let's,
any,
let's,
We're gonna
Here's the
continue
report.
this anyway,
Yes.
still,
Yep.
yes, okay.
let's look into
So
it
you
more
guys-
between, actually, that's.
Yeah.
no.
Oh, that's his copy?
Sure.
Do you have one,
Yes,
Nancy?
yes, yes.
Yeah, may have.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
So we're gonna continue this.
This
to
came
27th
from how?
of May.
Well, it's,
You're more than welcome to keep that in your file.
You have a copy on yours?
No, we have it. so
We
you-
have it.
We'll
we
take
just-
these maps, but
Yeah.
those, you can have all those. I can print those out anytime.
Just
The maps that you have too, are they on file? They're on file there?
Yes.
What's that?
They're in our
These I
files.
got from Nancy.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
How's that?
I didn't get a little bit.
Can I see this?
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, moving on. Actually, moving back, we'll go back to open space. Open space update, I talked to Dennis, he hadn't heard anything back yet from Mr. Watson on the planning council yet. So we're still waiting on that, that's still ongoing. New business.
Oh, before you go, I noted that they brought up the rails to trails
Yes.
on the selectmen's meeting.
Yes, that's in our correspondence.
Oh, it is in our correspondence?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna get to it.
Yes,
All right.
So new business, discussion, RE 1066 Washington Street. Do we have anybody here from Washington Street? No? All right, I guess the discussion is.
We have a
on-
letter that's gonna be brought in front of us on the 27th.
Okay. Do we want to discuss?
What is
yeah, do you
1066
wanna discuss
what is it?
Across from the Froyo.
Filled in W1 wetlands behind Sion's.
Do you know where the new house is going on
Oh,
Washington
yeah.
Street?
Right
Yeah.
next to
Guy to the
it.
left-hand side. I stopped by there tonight, and I spoke to Dennis today. He was telling me what was going on with the meeting tonight, and he just, I told him the same thing too, is that I thought there was wetlands back there from the guy that was building the new house. So when I went and looked at it on the DPE map, it was, but it was on the next to the neighbor's property.
Right, and the next door neighbor is,
And I drove out there tonight and looked, and he has pretty much filled his whole backyard.
exactly.
Except for a little section of scrub trees that look like they're on
The reason it was brought to my attention, we put landscape top down underneath it to avoid the vegetation from coming back up. And that's the only reason it really, showed up in my mind, I'm saying he's
There's
covered.
also, it looks like there's a culvert on both sides of his property, on the property lines.
Yeah.
One on the left side, one on the right side. So, I don't know if he's,
I think that the notice, he should be in front of us with a notice of intent there, because I really believe he filled in wetlands.
So should we just issue an enforcement order on
Dennis
this?
Dennis has a letter out, and there's correspondence in
Oh, okay.
there
yes,
saying that he is going to come in front of us.
Okay.
So letter dated May 8th.
Do we have it in our
Yes, we have
package?
Yeah, right here.
I must have missed that one.
he's got that.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'm cool with that. All right, sounds good.
So that's a discussion can be over.
So we'll just move that, we'll reopen that up on the 27th.
Yes.
Okay, next, request to amend the notice of intent for, it's 84-477, Shane Crowley, J&S Realty and Trust, 75 and 99 Ashland Street. I should have just kept you up there.
We voted on this, didn't we?
Yes, but there was, in the minutes, in the minutes of the meeting, from back in January, you had asked that Shane come back, because when we did this, there was 2.5 feet of snow on the ground. And so you just wanted to be able to get an opportunity to go out there, take a look at what's out there, and then come back and have Shane come back. And I called it an amendment to the order of conditions in the ad. It's really, it doesn't change the plan. It's, are you going to allow him to take the thorns and the shrubs out of that particular area?
It's just clearing that little.
It's just
section.
clearing,
But
yeah.
Didn't we vote on this because you needed to pass?
Yeah, yeah,
Didn't we vote and say, okay, go ahead and do it?
yeah.
Except I think we just asked if he would come back afterwards.
Right, and just come back and just see if it'll be okay for him to do that do that area, only to go in with handheld machinery and go in and chop down the thorn bushes and the low shrubs and stuff. And then leave the grade the way it is. Now, he's not gonna go in and regrade anything and just create I mean, there is grass underneath it, it's just that, and then he would
It's
just
an
go in.
overgrown
It's just overgrown,
Yeah,
it's just
shrub.
overgrown, and that's what he's doing, he's just asking if you'll allow him to do that.
I thought we voted on this before and said okay, so we wouldn't hold up the purchase and sale.
Yeah. I actually drove by there. I saw that it really is just a
Nothing.
piece of scrub. Yeah.
Yeah, I drove by also too.
Yeah.
There's probably a cluster of what, 4 trees?
Yeah,
Four
there's
big
one
trees?
little cluster of trees right there.
Yeah.
And there's another little small one, and then the rest of it is just
The
all.
rest of it's all just
briars.
briars, yeah, it's all just briars, and so that's what he wants to do, is go in and
there's,
remove the briars
there's
and the shrubs.
Siltation fence up behind it.
That's correct, right.
Make a motion to accept?
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
But Shane, before you go, the property on Hancock Street where you're building the house in the back, that's yours, right?
Oh,
It's-
Linwood?
Linwood,
Yeah.
sorry.
Linwood Street.
And back.
Yeah.
I noticed that the clearing started, but I didn't see any hay bales or
That
stuff else.
wasn't, I haven't touched anything yet.
Okay.
That's Scotty, I think he came in front of the board.
Yeah, he just
Oh, it's
asked-
Scotty, okay, I
Oh,
get it,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He wants to
I was
put a
trying to
pool
make
or
sure, but,
something, right?
all right, yeah.
No, the
So
state
you'll,
should be,
you'll let
I thought
us,
they would be back to me this week, but he was,
oh,
he
you're
came
still
out,
waiting
he
for your
was fine
appeal,
with everything.
okay.
He came just so he just
Yeah,
wanted to
you'll
put a
just let
lawn.
us know when you
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, when you have the hay bales in.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense. Was trying to look at your, the thing you
Across the
told me.
street, just see across the street.
Yeah, same thing, I'm like, what the heck is that?
Thank you.
What are they
You don't
doing?
even have to get up, you can just stay right here, you're the next, aren't you?
Yeah, but I got to
Come in
put
front of
something
us.
on.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Shane.
Yeah.
Nothing big, okay. I'll do
Yeah,
that.
I think so, maybe just send them a letter.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'm enforcing it myself, but
Yeah,
that's up to you.
all right, thanks.
Okay, last one we have here is notice of intent filed by Patricia I don't want to butcher it. Below, for construction of a single-family home within a 100 buffer zone bordering vegetated wetlands at Lot 1, Ashton Street.
Are you guys, do you have your engineer with you, or is it just you?
Same people.
Oh, same guys? Okay. All right. Should've looked at the plan, huh? Do we give him a permanent seat in the corner?
Where's this?
All they'll hear is crackling.
Ashland Street. If you go to the, beyond, you know where Russ used to live?
Yeah,
Up over the rise, you come on the way down, on the left-hand side, there's a wooded area. There's all
Yeah.
houses, there's a line of like 5 houses, and then there's a wooded area, and then there's 2 more houses, and then it gets to the bottom of the hill.
yeah,
This is the wooded area.
all right.
And there's a couple of copies of the plan. Yes, it is. Yeah, I haven't changed this one yet.
I can look at yours. A lot of paper on here otherwise. Yeah,
Bill,
it's between
I wouldn't
246
lie
and
to you.
242.
This backyard is cleared
So
up to here
you can at least,
and used,
yeah,
and this
didn't, I
backyard is
didn't
to
get
here,
into action. I
next
also
door
like
to
to
each
listen
other.
to the presentation
Okay.
first, just
Just-
so I know what I'm looking at.
Just to give you an
when I go
idea,
out.
because I went and looked at this,
Yeah.
and I wanted to see, so we'll see what he has to say.
Good evening.
Okay.
John Carter, here with Mr. Russell Wheatley, and this is Patricia Ballou. She's the owner of the property. This particular piece of property here, Mrs. Ballou is looking to retire. She lives right here. This was going to be for her retirement, so what she's doing with the property is getting it all permitted and everything, just to make it more valuable to her for selling. That being said, last Thursday, we were in front of the zoning board of appeals. She had 3 issues. One was a frontage variance, lot width variance, and she was also in the floodplain and wetlands protection overlay district. All 3 of them were granted by the zoning board. So what we have here is a piece of property. Was created in 1976. Majority of the land, as you can see, it's predominantly wetlands. Most of this area is wetlands. Walked by Brooke Monroe walked the site and flagged this area and deemed the rest of it to be a wet area, a wet forest. There's approximately 20,000 square feet of uplands that we're going to utilize to create a single-family house lot. The house itself will conform to setback requirements. The utilities will be municipal utilities that will be brought onto the site. The left side of the property, which is at number 226, is a little bit higher than we are here, than the existing conditions were. We are raising the house up because we do have an issue with a FEMA flood zone, which is on the site at elevation 126. So we're raising the house up so that the basement elevation will be above that elevation to 127, and it brings the top of the foundation up to 135. And what ends up happening in filling around, we kind of create a natural swale to go back along the easterly property line into the bordering vegetated wetlands. You can see the contouring and the grade goes from Mr. Hess's backyard. He's a lot higher here than in this area, so it comes back into the wetlands here. The FEMA zone actually creates a fairly wide swale in here, so that what comes down into what comes off the property on this side gets caught in this swale and will run back in the southerly direction the same way it does on the easterly side of the property. The lot currently, as I said, is a vacant wooded piece of land. The proposed, as I said before, the proposed use is for a single-family residential house. The use will have minimal impact as far as the impact on the wetlands. We are creating the 10-foot buffer that is required or requested by the Conservation Commission. We are honoring the 10-foot buffer zone. In here, we're putting a siltation fence along the 10-foot buffer zone and along the 126 contour, actually a little inside the 126 contour for mitigation. All of the work and why we're in front of you tonight is because we are completely within the 100-foot buffer zone. So we are coming in front of you for approval, hopefully. I ran out of copy. So what we're doing is like I said, creating a single-family house with a deck, driveway in the front. Everything flows towards the back, and I think that would about cover everything that's going on. We do have a file number. We have gotten a file number from DEP.
Did they give you any notes at all?
Not on this one. No, they did not.
You got a lot of notes on that last one.
But, well, because we were filling, we had
Right.
that little bit of filling, so they automatically put the notes on for
The
water quality.
100-year floodplain makes that land subject to flooding, correct?
Correct.
So it is considered an area under protection.
Under protection,
Under
yes.
the Wetlands Act.
That's correct.
So essentially, guys, it's a wetland. When you have the 100-year floodplain, you're basically, it's protected.
That's-
It's like a no-build zone.
That's correct.
And if they do, you have to put compensatory storage in.
That's
Right. I went down and looked at it though, and it just, this house is higher, and these backyards are extended back farther, I think, than what you're gonna do here.
That's correct.
So it's, I mean, I just looked at it, that just cleaning it up, putting a house there is gonna make it look a lot better. As far as the wetlands go, I think that if they stay within that
But essentially,
10
the
foot
wet,
and 100 foot.
It's gonna be on town or private sewer?
yeah,
Town sewer.
this is,
Township, they want, they,
No.
well,
this
they're
will
gonna
be
have,
upland,
you know, they're gonna have to
but
get,
this is
see if they
essentially
can,
a
see if they can
wetland
get
here.
a permit for sewer.
You
They don't
know,
have
if you
one this
follow
time.
Yeah.
up to the 126 contour here. So this is like a no-build, no, you know, there
Yes,
shouldn't be
yes.
taking down trees or anything here as well. I'm just making a point that, you know, that
Oh,
the
no,
right-hand,
absolutely, that's, and
the
that's why.
right-hand side, that they can't be taking down trees or anything.
That's correct, and that's why, oh, okay, and, well, that's why we did show the siltation fence is actually inside, outside rather, the 126 contour, because for that reason, we knew about
Yeah,
the compensatory area. If we filled any of that, we would have to show some compensatory area somewhere on the lot,
and how much fill do you think you're bringing in?
I should have that answer, because that question
We,
comes
I
up
always,
all the
I
time.
like to ask it.
I never have the answer. So like
It's too late.
60 by 100. 60 by 100 is
6,000.
6,000. 6,000, and that's about 1, 2, 3 feet deep. So, is that right? 180, that's square feet.
18,000,
18,000 square feet.
5 by 27.
Yeah.
This won't take long.
It's just too late for any of us to do
I
that
know, I
math
should
in
have,
our
oh,
head right now.
I should have that number for you, because you've, it's asked before.
Where's the calculator? There it is.
Does anybody else have any questions?
600?
600.
600 yards, 650 yards?
Okay.
Good amount of fill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and yes, because this is low over here, you know, it's low over here.
It's real low. I mean, that's, bringing.
You know, so that, and that's why you don't gotta bring it up.
Well, yeah, because I can
Bring it up.
understand the whole basement flooding thing.
Right, right. Yeah, because there were issues, and the reason we did it that way is there were issues with properties down this way, as far as being in the FEMA flood zone, and
So what they
the
have
price
for
of
a
insurance that
backyard,
they were talking about is
And
exorbitant,
John,
you know?
right, so
you
their
gonna-
backyard is basically gonna be towards the left in the back of
Yes,
the
back
house.
in
That's
here,
it,
that's
that's it.
correct.
And the neighbors here on the right-hand side, you're pretty comfortable that they're gonna be protected with the water too?
Yeah, there's a I mean, we're kind of in a natural swale in here, but there's also, back in here, there's a, when I walk back in, it's like about a 1 foot deep swale that runs about 10 feet inside the property.
I don't think there'd be a problem with the people on the left, it's just, as
No,
long as the people on the right.
On the right.
Yeah, okay, as long as you've taken care of that.
Any other discussion? You feel comfortable? Do you want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion approved as plans presented this evening.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
So we can do what are the conditions on this and,
The other one.
Yeah. Happy retirement.
You're welcome.
is that the lower end of Abington Street?
It's, you come up over the hill, and it's on the left-hand side as you're coming down. Probably about 100 times, you don't even realize there's a lot there.
Yeah.
And it's just, and then when you look at it, you go, that sticks out so far.
Yeah. I guess it's a good idea.
Yeah, really.
Here you go.
So this will be orders and conditions for,
This one.
Robbins
here,
Ave.
Robbins Ave. So this is for,
No.
Do we have a deed?
Crabtree.
Robin's Ave got continued.
Crabtree.
Yes. Crabtree. Have a good night.
See you later.
Do you want these order of conditions, or 78 Crabtree?
Well, I'll get them from Nancy.
Okay.
When they're outside and everything.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, John, have a good night.
Yeah.
So this is for Ingrid Johnson, 49 Susan Road, Brockton. And it's for 78 Crabtree Lane. Do we have a DEP number?
We do, it's 84,482.
Okay. First time you're doing these, so let's go with A. What do you think?
That, I think he's addressed that on the plans, hasn't he?
I think all of these apply,
I'll apply.
and,
A1 through A6.
and I think you just put on a limit of work line at least 10 feet from the wetland edge.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So they have it in writing.
So B,
Mhm.
let's say B, what, B1, B2,
Three.
B3.
This
Four.
one had, yeah, I think so.
B4.
There was no stormwater detention.
There was no, there was an existing one.
B7 maybe? Yep,
B7?
and I don't think B8 applies because there's no catch basins on that one, is there?
No.
And C doesn't apply.
So 7
B7.
no 7. 1 to 4.
What? Oh, no, and 7.
And 7.
And 7.
No 8.
No 8.
You guys are killing me.
We, don't you love us? Oh, and, yeah, we got B4. Okay, no C.
D.
I don't think D applies.
Okay.
There is that river that's there though. Detention basin, no rock salt.
Oh. What do you guys think about no rock salt for that house? They're gonna do it on the
Well,
road.
that's the town.
Well, it's the house and the town, but there's, in that case, I think it's gonna be more from the town that you're gonna get the salt.
Right.
All right,
E,
No D?
no D.
no D.
E.
E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6. E7, we need the numbers off the plan.
It was 1122.16.
That's awesome.
It's like 22 something.
That's the wrong one. I must have it, there's so many. This was the one. It was 1,100 for the proposed wetland replication area is 2265 square feet. Shown on the revised plan maps. It's shown on May 8th. Okay. I just don't think we should do E8. E9 and E10.
F.
Doesn't
No.
apply.
Doesn't
No.
apply. G.
G1 to 4. Do we have enough room for anything to be stockpiled 50 feet away? Should we say 25?
He's filling in anyway, so how much stockpiling will they have to
No.
do?
Well, it's just as they, as they dig the excavation and stuff, we just want to keep it away from the wetlands. So how far from the wetlands should we keep it away?
He's like real.
He's really close.
So
I'm thinking like 25 or 20. I just don't want it right next to the wetland.
Yes,
Say 25.
you start going in front of the house.
Yeah, stockpile in the front here somewhere.
Six.
G6 and G7.
Each.
I don't think H1 applies. H2. H4. H5.
Six.
Yeah, H6.
Six.
H7 maybe. No. No H7, Nancy. H8 and H9.
Ah, yeah. Item 1.
I2.
Two, all by two.
Just H doesn't apply on I2.
Correct.
I don't think there's, anybody had any special conditions they wanted to add?
No.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the plans dated May 8th and the orders of conditions that we just talked about.
One more to go.
All in favor?
Aye.
So you're doing another one, right?
Yeah, so hold on.
One, just do it.
Okay, so now we're going to do Ashland,
Yes.
maybe?
Notice of intent for the trees, boo-boo, at lot number 1. Ashland. You all set? Okay, hey.
A1 is 6 and use 10 feet from, at least 10 feet from the wetland edge.
B, B1, B2.
B7.
B4.
Yes.
C.
There is no compensatory storage because they didn't fill anything in. So that doesn't apply.
D.
No.
No.
No E because we don't have a wetland replication. No F. G1 to G4. This has got the same problem as the other one, depending on where they decide to stockpile, except they do have, I'd still give them 25 feet from the wetland.
Yeah.
So G5, Nancy used 25 feet, G6 and G7.
H.
H2, H4, and H5.
Yes.
Agreed? Okay. H6, H7. Yeah, H8 and H9.
Yes. I. And one,
Except for G and H, I think.
It's I-2.
Oh, sorry, I two.
I2, yep.
Yeah, except for G and H. And I wanted to add a special condition, if everybody's okay with it, is
Yeah,
that, no, filling or alteration of, anything in the FEMA flood zone, which is elevation 126 or lower on the property.
What
Okay.
elevation?
126?
They've got it at 120,
Up
within the 10-foot.
No.
It's at 127.
It's up here, is the FEMA flood zone is 126.
Oh, okay.
See it way up there? And so if you follow that contour, it's not highlighted, but that's really considered an area protected under the act. So they
Okay.
shouldn't be
They have
filling
the
in
bales
here
right here,
and
and the
over.
bales are right here, right here.
Yeah, the bales are right there along
Yeah.
it.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right there. And they shouldn't be filling or cutting down trees over there. That's
Yep.
really my
Okay.
point. Okay. Somebody else want to approve this plan and make a motion?
with a motion
Motion
to
to approve the plans.
Second.
Action Street, so motion to approve for Action Street, lot number 1.
All right,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Now I have correspondence. There are 3.
That's the amended order, the two that we just did.
Okay, so for correspondence we have. For the rail trail, we have a person, is it Monique?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Good.
It's just, could you please schedule, like, who's gonna come? Dory?
Yeah, that's from Dory.
Okay. This is from the Assistant Town Manager. Could you please schedule me for conservation meeting Tuesday the 27th? This will be for the rail trail. I expect to have an agreement in place along with Joe Hattrop of Iron Horse, who is performing the work, to answer any questions from the commission. So I guess they liked our idea and they went ahead with it. They went ahead and did it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was what I got out of that, was like, I was like, what?
The next one is from National Grid, which is same thing, that the letter they sent to us December 2013, they're asking, the only thing I did have on here too is, you might want to look at it, they have the current vegetative management plan, the VMP, and the approved 2014 yearly operational plan are posted on the following websites. I don't know if you want to take a look at the websites and look at them. And they're also asking us for comments on if we have any other, although you already received and reviewed copies of the VOP maps with the original location, please let us know if there's any additional sensitive areas located on or near the rights of way. Please advise us as soon as possible so we can establish permanent records and implement appropriate field protective actions. I think we saw these before, and we were talking about there might be some like vernal pools or other things that were near there, those plans. So I think if we want to relook at those again on that website, if anybody's got comments too. I know we were talking about over near the what's the name of that street where the marshy wells are?
Or where the Myers well is?
Yes, Myers Wells. I know we had some questions over there because I know they were doing that, the clipping of the high tension wires all the way down there. And there was one that had a vernal pool on it, and there was a couple others that we had questions on. that we're supposed to, I don't know if we got anything back from them, but they're asking again. And then the last one is, you're invited to the Abington School Building Committee. Will be hosting an open public information forum Thursday evening, May 22nd, 6 PM at the Abington Senior Center. If anybody wants to go and sit in on that. It's basically for the public information, stuff like that. We'll have updates all the way along. I think the last time that I went and sat in on that meeting that they had with us is that they said that their timetable to come before us is probably gonna be in the spring of next year. So right now they're doing all of their finalizing all of their drafts, the schematic drafts and stuff to go in front of the school building, the MSBCA. And as soon as they get those done and they're all approved, then they'll have to come through local permitting for planning, zoning, and us. They said that probably won't happen until the spring of next year, so. But if it's, I mean, I've gone to a few of them, and they're pretty good informational wise as far as, you know, what they're doing and what they wanna do. So, other than that, meeting minutes. April 8th. Does everybody have a, you got the copy of the meeting minutes, April 8th and April 22nd? So, everybody's had a chance to look at the meeting minutes for April 8th, 2014. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve as written.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain. Mike and I were absent for it.
Okay, good. Now, meeting minutes for April 22nd, 2014.
I was late, and Bill and Russ were not there. So I think we should push this off till there's 4 of you here, that we're actually at the meeting.
That sounds like that would be,
Wouldn't that be smart?
yes, that would be the smartest thing to do.
I think that would be well worth it, because I was late, so I shouldn't approve them. There's only the 3 of you approving them, so if we could just do that at the next meeting.
Yeah, we'll do that the next meeting. Let's put that one on until. Building permits?
I looked at those and everything was all right.
You like them? What were they? 270 Summit Road.
277 Road, a shed in the rear. Loganberry Drive addition to the back deck. And
11 Murphy Street.
that's a new house right behind, it's right behind Rips where Dorsey Street comes out by there.
Yeah.
And what I had was a application for a building permit from 1912 that was already half approved, so I just signed up.
From 1912?
No, 2012, I'm sorry. I'm tired, sorry about that.
I know you've lived here a long time, but.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, was it,
Jerry just remembers 1912.
1040 Bedford Street?
1040 is the fire station.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was
The
that cell
antenna.
tower, right?
Yep. And then I just looked at it the other day, they want to take down more trees, which I met with the chief, and it was okay because they were in a safety situation where the tower was, and so that was approved too.
In 510 Linwood.
There's a young fella, Scott.
Okay. That's it. Do we have any business from the board? Nothing? Have a motion to
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Are you gonna give me a letter tomorrow or something that you want to go Matt Fail or?
Yes.
Okay.
And all you want to do is tell them to come. Please
I
come.
just,
Well, I told him
Did
not
we-
to, because
did
he
we
didn't have the
adjourn?
information we needed.
But I think we need to talk
Okay.
to
We
him
internal
so that he
approval.
understands, that's all.
well, it's just,
Because
that'll be the fourth
We
meeting.
haven't,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.